point out how to identify a Karizma engine. So if you see, my bike has Hero Honda written over here. Over here, it's only written Hero. So if your Karizma engine has Hero Honda written, so according to Pratish, this bike should go above or should at least reach 140 kilometers with this particular setup. So welcome back to my channel. This is one more modified Impulse over here. I've covered this bike extensively in my previous videos. The reason I'm getting this bike back over here is because there is a change, and the change is right over here. This part is of a Karizma R series. There are certain changes. My friend Pratish has upgraded from a 150 to a 220. I'm assuming it's 223, 224 because it's a second oversized piston. Do you know the exact specification?
First bigger size.
First big size piston. So
Yes.
I'm assuming at least 3 to 4 cc might have increased over here
Yes.
on a lower side. This is a 2013 model. With reference to a fit, it's a direct fit in the chassis. The exhaust also, there is absolutely no alteration. It fits perfectly inside this engine. With reference to the carburetor, the reason why Pratish has gone with a 220 Pulsar carburetor is because it's a direct fit. But if you actually consider Pulsar NS carburetor, it doesn't fit directly. There is a certain cross angle that the carburetor would take. The Pulsar 220 carburetor BS4 fits in perfectly. So just in case if you want additional power, this could be a good upgrade. I personally am considering a Pulsar 220 carburetor in my Karizma engine because this engine does feel a little more lively than the Impulse that I own. Obviously, I'll be making certain changes in the cylinder also, but I'll be mentioning that later. And with reference to the carburetor, obviously there has been jetting done so that there's more air and fuel that's going to be mixed up in the engine. There's another alteration that needs to be done with reference to the Karizma engine is you have a cover over here. It needs to be altered as per the chassis of the Impulse. So currently it isn't placed, but it will be placed in the future. Otherwise, it is pretty much a simple swap in terms of the engine. And more importantly, you'll never get caught by cops because it's a perfect fit. So at least there won't be any issue from that. There's another thing I would like to point out, how to identify a Karizma engine. So if you see, my bike has Hero Honda written over here. Over here, it's only written Hero. So if your Karizma engine has Hero Honda written, so that was the Japanese engine that Hero and Honda basically collaborated and made, and that was between 2005 2010. This is post 2010 Hero, and this is basically the Karizma R. And then the Karizma ZMR engine obviously had a bump in power as well, and also an oil cooler outside. So I would suggest, if at all you want to place a Karizma engine, also just don't get it from the market. If it's Hero, I would suggest that's a better upgrade than say the Hero Honda engine, because it will at least be like say 5 to 6 years younger than the Hero Honda engines in the market. So this is something you need to look into when you want to invest in a 223cc Karizma engine. And now, just to sum this video up, I'll just sum this entire bike. Karizma ZMR engine, Pulsar 220 carburetor BS4. The piston is one size bigger. The exhaust is of the Impulse. These are imported aluminium rims, which are 4 times lighter than the stock rims. 21-inch tires in the front, 18-inch tires in the rear. You have Xpulse suspension in the rear. It is adjusted to setting number 3, not even all the way up. You have the Impulse suspension up front. You have these rubber guards to obviously protect the oil seal over here. That's the train. You have the CBR 650 master cylinder. You have adjustable brake levers over here. You have a KTM 250 flaring in front. What's a KTM?
250 EXC headlight.
EX.
Yes, EXC.
EXC. You have a KTM 250 EXE headlight up front. You have a KTM 250 EXE mudguard up front. Nothing. You have a knuckle guard that belongs to a brand Xpulse. You have obviously LED lights up front, LED turning signals. You have a mud flap over here for your front disc, which looks really cool. The side stand has been extended. These foot pegs belong to the KTM, and obviously graphics, which further enhances the looks. This seat was originally a KTM rally seat, so it was pretty flat, but Pratish has curved it a little because there has to be a convenience in riding the bike as well. You are tiptoeing, but at least you're tiptoeing in a in a manner where you can control the bike in traffic. And the rear mudguard is also modified, as you can see over here. The exhaust is stopped. In terms of the electricals, also just the rectifier has been changed. The stock impulse electricals are still being used, so no need of investing in, say, the electricals from a Karizma. You can still use your stock impulse electricals. Again, I've made these videos before. I made a video on a oil-cooled Karizma engine-powered impulse as well before, and I mentioned these upgrades are definitely worth if you consider to keep the impulse for the long run. I mean, you can easily just invest in a, say, Xpulse 4V, the latest version, which also has more than adequate power, considering the power that this impulse is removing. But again, if you're attached to your impulses and you feel that there just isn't enough power, I feel these alterations are definitely worth it. And with a stock exhaust, again, you have a legal bike that produces far more power than it originally has. So once the engine has a proper run-in, because this cylinder is brand new, the ported cylinder, the piston, which is a size bigger than the stock, is brand new, and the sleeving is just done. So see, after 1,000, 2,000 kilometers is when we'll actually test the top speed and a proper acceleration. So I wouldn't want to push this bike. It's just come out from the garage, but you can see it just looks different, and people will stare at you. So this is just my brief regarding this particular bike, this particular machine, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.